There we are. I'll give it a minute for it to catch up, and then we can waffle on. Just to say, I spent all day and a bit of yesterday on my computer setting up all the files to sell my actual prints now. So sell my 3D prints. So they're now on eBay and Etsy and on my website. Although I've got to rejig my website to make it a bit more accessible now. It's got this one to separate all the things off. I'm gonna put them on Reverb. See if they sell. Who knows?
Once the files are there, it's passive income if they do, right?
Well, the files are there, but I mean the actual 3D things aren't exactly passive. Oh, we've got Mark joining us. I'll just hit show and stream. Yeah, hi Mark.
And there he is.
Hey.
Yeah, these aren't passive because if someone buys them, I've got to print them. But that's also passive because I just print them in the background, right? Mark, I was just saying before we actually kick off properly that I spent today and yesterday finally putting up my files to sell the physical things. See what happens.
Cool.
The worst that can happen is they don't sell. The best that can happen is I give up my day job and spend all day printing things. But I don't think that will happen. But I'd like if I could sell a couple a week, that'd be brilliant. Anyway, look, we've got me in the UK, Owen in Ireland, Mark in the States, and after last week when I said I wasn't that keen on NAMM, we're going to talk NAMM. Kind of. What I'd like to do, I didn't tell you to this, is definitely, as some people will see because they've clicked on the very clickbaity title and the thumbnail, we definitely will talk about Dweezil Zappa's video at NAMM with sharp guitars. But there's something else I want to show you, and I'll show you that later. I'll keep you hanging on. It's something we've talked about before, and the video's finally gone up for it from a YouTuber. Anyone know? No? Someone in the chat might know. I've just seen someone in the chat say something. Oh, it's just Alan saying hello. Hi, Alan. Great. So look, what I'll do in a moment is I'll screen share what Dweezil was talking about with sharp guitars. But I was just talking to Owen. Owen said he's not really come. He's aware of Dweezil Zappa, but not really come across him before. Mark, do you know much about him?
I only know him via I guess the early '80s when he was like a teenager. That's it.
So
now I know he plays his father's music now, but I've never heard a note. Right.
Okay. So what was he known for in the teenage years? Not for playing then, just for being the son of Frank.
Oh, he released music in the '80s. Yeah. Played,
right.
I remember him playing this green guitar. It was so cool because the '80s, everybody had a green guitar and it was pointy. And he was a really big Van Halen fan, so he played sort of in the style of Van Halen. It was good stuff. He released good stuff.
So I only know him through YouTube, but not through his own channel. I'll get onto that in a minute. I've seen him on various other. Hey Jimmy, I've seen him on various other people's channels talking about guitars, and therefore seeing him play. So I've seen him play quite a lot on YouTube, but not necessarily heard his recorded music. I've seen him play, and what I like about him is he's clearly into innovation. He's clearly into cool things that are different, things that aren't traditional. And I guess like his dad, he's clearly into experimental stuff when he's playing. So he's always been someone, when I see he's appearing on a channel, I try and watch the video because I find him really interesting. But I can't remember what it was. It wasn't that long ago. I noticed he was doing more on his own YouTube channel. So I don't know if he's been doing it for a while and it's just suddenly come into my feed, or whether he's someone that has been doing it for a while, but he seems to have picked things up. And today or last week he was at NAMM going around the place. So hey, Paul Miles is in the chat as well.
Oh, loads of people.
I'm gonna highlight what he said. Just bought his first guitar using hand tools, and it's been a great journey. Oh, that's fantastic, Paul. Look, sometimes on these streams we talk about building and we talk about our tools and things, but today I really want to highlight the Shark guitars. Innovations on their guitar. What I'll do is I'll play the video in the background at 1.5 speed so we can hear it, we can see it, but I'll keep the sound off and we can talk over it. I think I had seen it appear in my feed, but Owen, you were the first person that I noticed talking about it online. So for those of you that don't know, we also have there's also a Guitar Builders Collective Facebook group, and there's been a bit of a discussion around it on there. So maybe if it's all right, let's turn the music off when I'm sharing first. No, wrong one. Here's Dweezil. There we go. I'll just play it. and we can talk over it. And I can skip around if we need to, the different bits. But he's at the Shark Guitar booth, and what they seem to have is a guitar with everything on it. Maybe Owen, can you give a quick rundown of the cool things that you remember from it before I?
Oh, we're going to be talking all night. First of all, what a killer painkiller, right? Let's focus on that. Joking aside, it's insane. The tremolo is probably the coolest part, really, for me, because the tremolo, you can lock it in position as a fixed bridge. You can have it floating pretty much, and it's when you lock it, you can actually take tension off the strings, and then you can disconnect the nut, and take the strings completely off and remove the neck and put a different neck on, maybe if that's something you want to do with a different neck profile. Put the nut back on, put the tension back in, and it stays in tune, which is just mind-blowing. The only thing we were talking about that I wasn't really 100% sold on with the tremolo is there's this like bolt that you've to slide to determine whether it's locked or unlocked. And it looks like something you would buy in your local Lowe's or B&Q or something like that. It looks like the cheapest of the cheap mechanisms. They could have probably focused on that a bit more, I think. But there's onboard effects, which you can drop in with like little plug-in cards and stuff like that, and you can set the values of all of the different effect knobs on the back of it.
It's just zooming in on the little lock. I actually find that hilarious because it's really well made. This thing, it's made of titanium. It's lovely, but it really just looks like those memes you see where people have put their Floyd Rose in a locking position, literally using a sliding lock from a gate. Yeah, I love it. Sorry, I interrupted you. You're talking about the...
No, you're right. Onboard effects, which are cool, and I think some of the other stuff as well. There's some little buttons there in the front for the effects, and then the pickups. You can hot swap the pickups just by opening little panels in the back and pulling them out and slotting new ones in. So you can go from humbuckers to single coils, and you can reverse the phase and all sorts of stuff. I think this one that they brought to the show, for me, is very much a technical demonstration of what they can do, right? Because even the frets are height adjustable. Each individual one, there's a little some sort of fastener in there, whether it's a Torx screw or a Phillips screw, and you can go in and you can adjust the height of each individual fret up and down. So it means, you know, you can compensate for fret wear yourself without having to take it to a luthier and sand all the frets and recrown them. Kind of crazy, but cool. But I think they put so much into this guitar because they needed something just to demo all the things they do. And I think if you were a regular person buying a guitar, you might not opt for everything. You might just opt for, hey, I want the tremolo and I want the hot swap pickups. I don't need the onboard effects, or I don't need the the adjustable frets or anything like that. And it immediately splits the viewers into two camps. The left-hand side are all the people who go, oh my God, this is amazing, and they're pushing the envelope and this is new technology. And then the staunch traditionalists on the other side with, yeah, Leo got it right first time, this is just wasting money. Why would you want all that in a guitar? Why don't you just use a pedal board? Nobody needs a tremolo like that. So I think it's definitely going to divide the community, but I think as a technical platform for showing innovation, it pretty much broke the internet when this video came out for guitar players, because everybody I knew was talking about it and sharing it.
Yeah, I mean, look, how many views has it got? Let me just zoom down a bit. 234,000 views. Pretty good. Mark, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but if you haven't, have you got any first impressions of a guitar with all these things on?
I only watched the first few minutes of it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but yeah, I think that innovation is really cool. Owen, did they happen to mention the price of the guitar?
I've got the prices, so in a moment I'll share their website. But I think what Owen has said is absolutely true. This particular guitar has everything on it. And what their website has actually, look, let me just stop sharing this and I'll share their website instead. What their website has is a kind of computer downloading sort of interface where you can build your own guitar. And that way you can pick which bits you put on and which bits you don't have. And that helps you pick like the overall price of it all. And this one seemed to have every single thing you could possibly have on it. But whereas if I go on the website, I'll show you, they've got a store, they've got some like already built products, and they seem to range between $3,000 and $4,500.
Yeah, they did give there is pricing of some individual options there as well. Like you can go in and you can look at the tremolo, which is where I went first. I was like, how much is that? Um, and it's not the most expensive tremolo I've ever seen. It's coming in at about 780 US dollars, I think. Now, I'm unclear as to whether you can use a locking nut with that or if you have to use their nut or what the situation is, because they really only give you the detail on the tremolo. But like I've seen CNC machine Floyd Roses going for, over $1,000, and it's just a Floyd Rose with very beautiful machinery. This thing is genuinely innovative, and I think it's okay. For 780, I'd like it to be 500 euros.
Yeah, yeah. So
Everybody would.
I'm pretty certain you can use it with a locking nut, because I'm pretty certain you can just put it over onto anything at the other end. But on their guitar that they had demoed, the nut that they had was an adjustable nut, so you could adjust each part of the nut to adjust the intonation at that end, as you would do on a normal guitar where you move the saddle slightly backwards and forwards. You can do that at the nut side as well, like a compensated nut, but an adjustable compensated nut. And you can adjust the height there as well. So it gives you like ridiculous amounts. And I think, did I see you can also buy their nut? Yeah, you can buy the nuts as well. So I don't know how much that adds to it. I mean, a couple of other things about the bridge. So we talked about different bridge design recently, which we'd seen Henning Pauli demo, where you could change it. So, which this one doesn't do, but where when you use the tremolo bar, pulling it up or down doesn't necessarily mean the notes go up or down. You can set each individual string. So each individual string responds differently, staying the same, going up or going down. This one doesn't quite work like that, but it does allow a lot of flexibility. So even when the bridge isn't in the lock position, one of the things they were talking about was this idea that when you bend notes normally on a guitar, on tremolo bridge, the whole bridge moves. This one doesn't. It only moves when you use the tremolo bar. So it has all these really cool little things. I think, was it you last week, Owen, that said that the Floyd Rose is just not a great design?
Oh no, I love the Floyd Rose. I won't hear a bad word spoken about it. I'm one of those weirdos who really, really likes Floyd Roses.
Yeah,
I don't like tuning them, but I love using them.
I mean, I think they're pretty good, but I'm not that I've used many other alternatives, but a lot of the other alternatives I see online, like is it Sophia Bridges? Is it Sophia? They make amazing ones that just look incredible, but seem to have a little bit more engineering to them that makes them seem like this one, that everything's going to be much smoother, much more controlled.
Yeah, there's some lovely, lovely bridges out there for sure. I mean, I think one of the things that I have loved about Floyd Roses forever is that if you are in a band and you're playing night after night, you can hop up on stage and the strings are going to be in tune. Like maybe a tiny bit of adjustment needed, but like for the most part, it's not going out of tune when you're on stage. And you, of course, the risk is there. You're going to snap a string and then the whole thing goes out of whack. But that's why you have a second guitar ready to go that also has a Floyd Rose and you can pick that up. But some stuff, if you're playing lead guitar and you've got to use your tremolo, I just always found that other guitars never really went back in tune, even when they had locking nuts and they had, I've tried guitars with rolling nuts and stuff like that, and they're okay. But yeah, there's just something nice about like being able to absolutely beat the crap out of a Floyd Rose and still have it in tune.
Yes, it was definitely a joke that I put Dweezil Zappa and not Zappa. It wasn't at all either predictive text on my phone or whatever I was doing it on. I have to go back and change that. Sorry, actually, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the comment.
You're grand. I thought I was missing out on something completely there. But actually, the cool thing about now, I have a separate account for my guitar channel on Instagram these days, and it's starting. Finally, the algorithm is starting to learn that I do want to see other guitar makers, and it's stopping showing me absolute nonsense and drivel. But there's a French company after starting up called Fauve, Fauve. And they seem to be getting into the high-end hardware market as well with bridges and tuners and things like that. They're not releasing a catalog just yet. Everything's in development, but they're sharing pre-release pictures, and the hardware, it's looking pretty sexy. It's looking pretty expensive too, I can tell, but it's looking pretty sexy.
That Fauve means beast. in French.
Possibly.
I'm not sure. So the Fauvist movement, the art movement, were lots of artists that were really rebelling against what was going on and using really aggressive, bright colours and bold brush marks, right in your face. Seems like a great name for someone that makes things for a real metal in your face guitar.
Yeah, these guys are just doing really stunning work, and it's they've spent a long time now just like designing everything and going back to the drawing board. But their machine heads almost look steampunk in some aspects.
Oh, nice.
And they're leaving the CNC trail marks in some of the bridges, so you can see these things have been machined out. But yeah, and their control knobs are really crazy. I really like them. So I'm hoping the guys will have a catalog soon because I'd like to pick up a few bits from them. And plus, they're in Europe, which means, yay, I don't have to pay money to import something from the UK or America, which is great. Actually, talking about importing things from America, I was talking to a company today called Flush Fasteners. I don't know if you've come across them, but they're a small company over the US, and what they do is they make bolts. So they make the world's most expensive bolts, but they're cool, and you can use them in your neck, and they're like a little Allen key recess in the head. But when you take your Allen key out, there's a panel comes up that's spring loaded, and it's machined to very tight tolerances, and your bolt head disappears. And I'm like, that's cool.
And they're the right size for bolt-on necks.
Yeah, they're like M5 by 35
You'll be
with
getting them from
0.8
now on,
pitch.
won't you?
I really want them, but I'm gonna get absolutely destroyed in import taxes. So I'm gonna get a set of maybe 5 or 10 or something. But he's getting a European distributor in Germany in the next 2 months apparently. It took everything in me to go, do you want another distributor and I can set something up here? But they look really cool. And I just like the idea that when the bolt is finished and this thing pops out, it's you can see it if you hold it up to the light. Of course you can, but it's all but invisible, and that's a really cool looking thing.
Do you remember Ty from Shock the Fox built a whole bolt-on neck based around using a large bolt of that sort of system?
Yeah, I remember that. It was a huge honking thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
That was good.
I don't want to go off too much on tangent. We'll get back to Shark Guitars. We've naturally flowed away, but it's been all connected. But Owen, I feel like, you've got enough on your plate, but maybe you should become a distributor for all of these incredible things you keep finding. Bring them over here. Or bring them over here. No. I'm not in Europe, so whatever.
I can't even get time to make YouTube videos, let alone send things in the post to people. I'd have the worst reviews on Google if I tried to run a business. Everything would be late.
So look, one of the things I liked about Shark Guitar that I found really interesting was, yes, this guitar had everything on it, and yes, you can pick. And I just couldn't help thinking when I was watching it that the neck coming off, absolutely brilliant for a travel guitar. I guess if you want a travel guitar, the way their onboard effects work, they're really compact. And it seems like all the different effects they have, but they didn't really talk about what the range was, but they all fit in and they use the same controls on the front. So depending on what effect you have in, the controls do different things. So again, if you wanted a travel instrument, they were so compact, you could literally take this around with effects in not much space at all. So I could understand that. And then the bridge, I love the fact that the bridge looked so cool and had so many innovations to it. But it did seem like too much on one guitar. But what they said at the end, which Dweezil Zappa mentioned, Zappa with an ER, mentioned, was that he could imagine seeing these on other instruments, other brands. And they were very clear, Shark were, that they can do OEM manufacturing. And they're not interested in saying this is our product. So your guitar with our product on it, it can be your, on your guitar without our names on it. We just want to put it out there and get it out there. And I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was great. And I can see that with all of their individual bits. But as we always talk about, which company is really going to go for that kind of innovation? I feel like potentially, but it may just be the way the algorithm, like Owen, feeds me things, that maybe younger players, newer players aren't that worried about the tradition. They want things that play amazing and do amazing things. And I'm not really down with really new guitar music, but some of the bands I've been listening to recently are young people like in their 20s playing, and they seem to be quite innovative in the way they're playing their instruments. Lots of effects. One of them was using something that I saw a few years ago and haven't seen since, which was a glove, or it went on your finger, not on a glove, and you move it and it affects the MIDI. So you can affect MIDI from your hand movements, and that was connected to her pedal board. So whatever unit she was using, she could adjust the parameters by moving her hand when she was playing. It's brilliant. I've not really seen anyone use that. It just seemed like a gimmicky thing. But what I'm trying to say is, I think the young people are into the gimmicky things to make cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm really, this isn't a dig at you. I'm reluctant to call them gimmicky things because unless you try new things and some of them stick, then you can't develop the scene, right? And I said this on the Facebook group as well earlier. I was chatting to Eddie. There is a group of people who are only ever going to want a standard guitar. They want a standard Telecaster. They want a standard Stratocaster. They want a Gibson designed by Gibson to be a Gibson Les Paul and nothing else. And there's they almost curate what they think the scene should be. They're kind of the same as tube amp people. They're like, oh, you should only ever have a tube amp and you can't get a good sound with anything else. And there's almost a smugness to how much they gatekeep the scene, kind of going, yeah, Leo got it right, and you need nothing more than a Telecaster to play speed metal. And you're kind of going, it doesn't quite work like that. So it's nice when you see the extreme other side where you have companies like Neural and Axe Effects and Fractal and all those guys making really amazing pedal boards that now are starting to bring in some of the traditionalists who are going, yeah, no, these things are doing, IRs and cab sims, and maybe this technology is coming on, whereas they would have dismissed it 5 years ago. And I think that's going to happen with guitars too, because there's starting to be comments now on videos where people are, giving Fender and Gibson a hard time for putting out the same thing year after year and changing the paint color. That Dweezil Zappa video is a perfect example. If you go into the comments, there are people there going, yeah, this is actually innovation. This isn't just a Stratocaster in red for 2026 with slightly different pickups.
Yeah.
So there is an appetite there from people to see new things. There seems to be support there for new things. The challenge is, I think that guitar was just, it would intimidate a traditional player. That's all. I think there was so much on it, it would actually spook somebody. And then you get that immediate knee-jerk reaction going, why would you want that when all you need is a single coil? It's just going to take time for those people to come along. Some people won't ever make the move, and some people won't ever want to adopt new stuff. We have that with everything, right? Some people don't want electric cars. Some people didn't want microwaves when they came out. Some people didn't want smartphones when they came out. Some people adopt early. Some people take longer. Some people never make the shift. But I think the fact that there's options is exciting. And I think the fact that people are pushing the envelope is very exciting. I'm really happy to see it.
I mean, if anyone's here and hasn't seen Mark's YouTube channel, he does lots of experimental things. And when I say gimmicky, I do apologise. I do think that is the wrong word. But what I meant by it was, as someone's put a lot of effort into making something which is very nuanced, and unless it's been taken up and used by other people to demonstrate how it's being used, it's quite hard, I think, for someone to just invest the initial price, because a lot of these things aren't cheap, on something that you don't understand how it's going to be used, because not everybody has that, either the time to be creative or innovative in the way they play, or is able to do that without some sort of guidance. So what was exciting for me, it was the Nova Twins that I saw playing, was the way they were using things was seemed to me to be quite innovative, because I hadn't seen people use that before. But I'm hoping, I would assume, if they're a reasonably big band, which I think they are, or they're growing to be, that other people start taking that up and doing the same sort of things. In the way that that guy, who I cannot remember who it was, used his Tascam for his part of his effects, and suddenly everyone else is using that now.
That was innovative, 100%. Yeah. You're thinking Mickey. Yeah, you have these young guys who are like using the strangest old equipment to get new, interesting sounds. So using an old Tascam as your preamp. Like that was it. You plug into a Tascam, you set the volume so you get a little bit of that drive, and it's a very unique sound. Totally makes sense. A lot of kids are doing that. They're doing a lot of weird, interesting, cool things. Good for them.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Shark bridges, like I think you're right. I think the key is accessibility. Like you need access to it in order to be able to play it. And you should certainly have like a lot of YouTube influencers that can get their hands on them and demonstrate them. But you need a big company to embrace it and then put it out in stores to give people an opportunity to use it. Think about Evertune. Evertune started off the same way, a very innovative bridge, right? But you needed a big company to basically retool everything, right? And then put them in guitars and put them out there. And now it's like, it's huge. Evertune's gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel like there are elements of this that could definitely go into that. Like, I don't know about the pickup swapping, what I think of that. I don't really have a strong opinion on pickup swapping. I feel like it's a real niche thing. I don't feel like lots of players will want to do that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe somebody's got a country and western gig at 6 o'clock, and they've got like a Norwegian black metal gig at 11. Who knows?
That's cool. That idea of like the Swiss Army knife of guitars has been around for a long time, right? But I think a lot of us just like to have a lot of different guitars.
Because for my thing is, if you're doing a country gig and then a black metal gig, it's not the pickups you want to change, it's the shape of the guitar. And there are companies that do that, where you have the main sort of core of the guitar and the body shape swaps. That's what, I don't know. Everyone is different in what they want or need or how they do it. One of my issues with a guitar that has all of these things on is I feel it's quite niche, because not everyone needs it, and all of those things on it, and not everyone would take advantage of all the things. So, for example, the innovation of the frets, that you can adjust the individual frets, seems very pointless to me. It seems really good. I mean, it's really well designed. It seems really good for the setup initially, but who's going to have fretwear where one fret is evenly worn across a whole fret? I mean, I get all the guitars I get in that need fretwear have just got dents, basically dents in the middle of a fret somewhere. Owen's here and much clearer.
I don't know. I'm trying every camera.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the whole fret thing, so I haven't seen that part. But wouldn't like the idea of like stainless steel frets just basically make everything moot? Like you use stainless steel frets and then you never ever have to worry about them for your entire lifetime.
Is titanium harder than stainless steel? Why do people make their bridges out of titanium and not stainless steel?
It's lighter. It's
lighter, so that's the reason. Right, that makes sense. Yeah, but I think you're right. If you've got stainless steel, why would you do it? Why would you need that? But maybe, as Dweezil Zappa was saying, Dweezil Zappa said to Shark Guitars, I love this, but I need to push it further. And I think the way they were vibing together, they're probably going to collaborate and do something. If I was to see Dweezil Zappa taking that further, you'd just be able to adjust the frets. They disappeared, so it become fretless, and then they pop back in and out. The thing.
I think there was some kind of bass invention that did that already, where you can make the bass fretted and fretless just by like pushing some kind of lever, right?
Yes, I have definitely seen that. Eddie's got a good point. Electric lady guitars, things that interchange. I guess again it depends on the player. If I had that, I would lose things, 100% lose things backstage. The amount of times I came home from a gig with something missing, it's quite depressing. Oh, we've lost Owen for a bit.
Where's Owen?
But again, what I'm really keen on is that idea of, and you summed it up really well, Mark, the idea of people innovating like that, but then something going forward, like the Evertune bridge coming out of it. Like, I can definitely imagine that, because they seem to be a big company, they seem to have a great website, they seem to have a great way of selling all their products, that some other company is going to want to collaborate with them somehow. Things will be back.
It starts with boutique builders. It always has. Like, boutique builders start using the hardware, and then people start to notice, and then the big dogs want to just copy that.
Yeah, I just feel it's sad, for me anyway, that things like that coming along at a time where production for them is higher costs, selling them is higher costs, shipping them is higher costs. Boutique builders are struggling to build or exist. Big like companies that sell parts that you can buy are ceasing to exist as well. It's a much harder place to get these things out to people. Just while I'm saying that, if anyone's in the UK here, Black Dog Music is a place that for years, in fact, since I started, I buy components from. They've just, I don't know what's happened, but they're closing down. So they've got a big sale on. So it's in the UK, but everything's quite cheap compared to normal. And they're selling off things in bulk as well. They're just selling off massive spools of fret wire. So yeah, if anyone's in the UK, check out Black Dog Music. I've got no affiliation to them or anything. Who's this? It's not Owen. It's someone in like 4K resolution.
Yeah, I don't know
like
what's
this
going on.
Owen.
I've given up on my webcam, even though it's a really good webcam. For some reason, it does not like our streaming software. So I'm using my phone, and that's why it keeps falling over. So yay!
It looks fantastic.
Hey. Yeah. Just to bore everyone, just very quickly, I've got a reasonably expensive webcam that I bought years ago, so it's probably out of date now. But I bought it because I needed it for work, and it's been brilliant. But it works better if I have the software on the computer that interfaces with it and then goes into the streaming software. Nothing's simple anymore. Got to have a middle software to get everything to gel.
I'm just loving that the chat is making jokes about potatoes. You know, us Irish did have a bit of bother with our potatoes in the past, so I guess I'm keeping up the tradition.
Yeah, I'm assuming we just don't have a lot of racists in our chat, and they were the jokes came from somewhere else, but maybe. Who knows? Yeah, so I will leave a link to Dweezil Zappa's video, and I'll also leave a link. It's not there yet. I'll leave a link to Shark Guitars, so you can check them out. I can't remember what I put as the ridiculous clickbait type of thing. I'm sort of taking the piss out of Dweezil Zappa by spelling his name wrong, which I apologise for. But yeah, what I like about him is he's into innovation, and what I feel like is he's got a following. He's got a group of people that are like him, presumably, or like the stuff he does. And now he's met a company that does the things he likes. Surely there's a good combo that's going to come out of that. Surely there's a good thing that will come out of it somehow.
That's actually kind of curious because, you know, Dweezil plays very nice vintage gear, like from his father's collection. Like he's got very nice old gear, and he plays through real old vintage tube amps, including some fractal stuff too. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that he's into innovation, and I think I'm the same way. Like I love innovation, but I love old guitars, and I love old guitars.
Yeah, I mean,
on the flip side, though, I think if Frank was alive today, Frank would be trying out that Shark guitar straight away.
Yeah, yeah.
Frank was an innovator.
Yeah, his stuff wasn't vintage, surely, when he was playing it.
Oh no, it was like brand new. Yeah. That reminds me of like it was some interview on YouTube with Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police, right? And he's got a studio in his home, and he invites a kid over, a teenager, into his little home studio. And the kid's like, "Oh my God, that's a 1972 Strat. Where'd you get that?" He's like, "At a store in 1972.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I saw. If you don't follow Reverb on social medias, they're really good. So they do lots of kind of fun, slightly comical things. And one of the things I saw them do the other day, I think I saw it on Instagram, it might be on YouTube. It was a part of a series where they were taking a live setup the band had. So it was a Pink Floyd gig, and looking at all the instruments that each member of Pink Floyd had, and how much it would have cost them at the time to buy, and how much it now costs you to buy the same things on Reverb. It was crazy, absolutely crazy how like reasonable priced it would have been back then when it was all new, and how ridiculously expensive it is now. And as we're sort of implying, for some things, is it better? Is it better?
I think it just depends on how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very personal. But I again, coming back to the earlier point, I think there's a growing number of artists out there who are not afraid to try different stuff. Like you've got Matt from Muse, and he's got a chaos pad built into one of his guitars for doing crazy sounds, and then everybody's like, "That's cool, we should do that." And then you have other people with effects being built into guitars now, like Ernie Ball Music Man make a bass with distortion built into it, and it's got like LED lighting on it. And then speaking of LED lighting, you have people like Devin Townsend, who's one of the most avant-garde players out there, and he's got really cool lighting on his guitars, and he's a man who's not afraid to experiment with effects and things. So I think people are just realizing there's more out there than just reverb, delay, chorus, and distortion, and they're excited to try it. And I think when you start exploring that world, then you're kind of going, right, maybe if I have a slightly different guitar, it will allow me to do slightly more things. It doesn't mean I stop doing what I did before. I'm just adding more strings to my bow. Um, I think that's really cool. Actually, if you look at this guitar here, the surf green one behind me, you can see that has 6 knobs, right? The one next to it also has 6 knobs, but 2 of them are stacked, so it looks like it has 4 knobs. The one with the 4 knobs is universally accepted as, yeah, that's pretty cool. That looks like a nice guitar. When the one with the 6 knobs came out, people freaked. It was like, oh, it's too many knobs. There's too many things to control. I'll never remember them all. And I go, it's exactly the same as the one next to it. They're just in a different location. They both have 6 different controls, but it's just perception from people. People fear change. That's what it comes down to. People always fear change, and that shark guitar is a huge amount of changes all in one. Maybe there's a different strategy they could have taken where they went, here's our cool bridge and our cool nut, and then 6 months later, here's our onboard effects and stuff like that. But I like what they did. I like that they rolled everything into one as a technical tour de force. It came out and went, here you go. This is what we do. Come and work with us. And I think if they get a couple of endorsed artists, like you probably touched on, Dweezil might be one of them. But if they got a couple of really cool endorsed artists who went out there and did new things with these guitars, I think people will sit up and take notice.
Yeah, but let's see. So, yeah, I'd love to see new things happening. But what I'm more interested in is hearing new things happening, I think. So hearing those guitarists use them. Because a lot of what I do is watch people on YouTube demoing guitars, and that's not, or demoing effects. And when they're demoing effects, they're not really using it in a song, in music. They're often just playing a riff with it or demonstrating what the distortion sounds like isolated from a band mix or a song mix. And I'd love to hear these things in songs. I think
you can't win.
Yeah.
You do a video with it in the mix. They're like, oh, I want to hear it isolated. You do it isolated.
Yeah,
I want to hear the mix. Like, you can't win.
Yeah. Just on a quick tangent, Mr. Glynn's pickups, Glynn, formerly of this parish, I think that's how we might phrase it. He used to be on here quite a lot. He has a YouTube channel, and on his channel, he often interviews guitar builders and other related things. And he interviewed, I can't remember the guy's name. I'm really sorry, I can't remember his name, but from Manson Guitar Works, who build Matt Bellamy's guitars, and talked about the collaboration with Matt and how it developed and how it's changed and the things Matt wants them to do and how they have to problem solve and come up with the solutions that work for Matt on stage and then potentially could go into production. It's brilliant. Definitely worth listening to that interview. I cannot remember his name, but that's from Manson Guitars. Brilliant.
See, speaking of pickups, I just had sort of an pickup epiphany recently. And I was realizing what it is I finally isolated what it is I like in pickups. And it's been hard to talk to people about pickups because people use adjectives that really don't mean anything, like sparkle and chime and all that air. And so anyway, I recently just bought a Pearly Gates, right, from Seymour Duncan. And I just bought an Antiquity series from Seymour Duncan. And I'm trying to compare them with my really nice collectible Tim Shaw pickups. Anyway, just real quick, I realized what it is that I like, and here it is. Unpotted pickups. That's the sound that it's in my head that I hear that I like, and you can't really reproduce it when you have potted pickups. So because of the microphonics.
So yeah, can you describe without, but maybe how can you describe it by using sparkly and funny words like that.
Well,
Can you
it's
describe it?
it's three dimensional, 100%. Because you have that element of the microphonics, it is three dimensional. It feels more alive. And if you take the exact opposite of unpotted and you go from unpotted to potted, potted for 30 minutes, vacuum potted, and then epoxy potted, you can totally hear the difference between epoxy potted and everything else in between, right? They just sound a little bit more sterile, more direct, because that's the whole point of potted, right? No mechanical noise, direct. And there's definitely a difference. And for my ears, I just love unpotted, and that's the direction I'm going. Just a quick tangent. Sorry, guys.
Oh, nice. Have you maybe it's not something you want to do, make a video on it, but have you tried unpotting a potted pickup?
I have not. Apparently, you don't want to unpot a potted pickup because the heat will like degauze the magnet.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Is it what? Oh, I forgot his name. I'll look it up in a minute. There's someone that people mention every now and then in the chat who does innovative things with guitars by slightly changing pickups and things around. Wayland Guitar, I can't remember what he's called, but he I just noticed he had a video up yesterday where he took the pole pieces out of his humbucker. That
guy stole like so many of my video ideas, and I've never called him out on it. Every time he puts it out, I was like, I did that like 2 years ago. Anyway,
did you do that? Did I miss that? Oh, sorry, Mark.
I've done all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh. All right, let's not talk about him. What I want to talk about is someone that they put a video up 2 days ago. It's already got 2 million views. I'm going to share it. I'll do what I did before, where I share it. It's definitely not me. I don't know what I did a few years ago. I think it was when I started doing this live stream. My views just disappeared. So I used to put a video up. I've got 13,000 followers. I put a video up, and sometimes it gets a couple of hundred views. I don't really understand why. Something I'm doing wrong. I still get like 200 odd subscribers a month, so it's not huge amounts. 200 odd coming in, so people must be interested in something, but they're obviously not interested in the videos I make. I don't really. Anyway, whatever. Let's see this. So it's Matthias Krantz, and it's the magnetic guitar we talked about a few weeks ago. He's now got to the final stage of it, and this video is brilliant. So I'll put a link in the description. It's not there yet. I'll put it in at the end. It's brilliant because let's skip to him playing it at the end, what the final thing looks like. So it's 3D printed, but with a metal core, and there's magnets holding the guitar strings in place. But he's obviously demoing it and recording it for the first time. It's not like he's come back to do it. And you can hear his excitement in it working. Like, this is his main channel. He's got a second channel, which we'd shared before, where he's gone through videos of him trying out all the iterations and the build process. But this is him like playing it. It's finally working. He's so excited by it. And because it's held in place magnetically, you can push down on the magnet and it kind of vibrates a bit. So you can vibrate the note, or you can push it closer to the pickups and get more volume swell on it. Just looks awesome.
It looks like he's kind of at the limit of the magnets there with 4 strings.
Yeah. Why did he? In it at one point he says the reason there's 4 strings on it is because he just put 4 strings on it. That was all.
Oh, okay.
But there is a bit in it where he said it took him a whole day to tune 4 strings. So maybe that's.
So what we're saying is the Floyd Rose is not the worst bridge in the world, right?
Yeah. Well,
there's something worse again.
The innovations he went through to try and get it to work, because it's now one magnet that all the strings are attached to, but originally they're on separate magnets and they're all interfering with each other. So it was really hard to get the 6 strings on. But yeah, it's just weird and interesting.
Guitars have always had this like reputation for being rebellious and dangerous. This guitar is actually dangerous.
Yes.
I like that. Make guitars dangerous again.
Yeah. At one point he demos or shows videos of other people demoing the magnets he's using and how dangerous they are. And you see some of the magnets that he uses go wrong and sort of break things. And every now and then he does something. He's like, oh, what have I just done? I almost lost my fingers, kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it's well worth a watch. What I like about that is, unlike the Shark guitars, it's just crazy and innovative, but not for a reason to progress guitar to be a better guitar or a different guitar. It's just for the sake of trying out magnets.
Keep preaching. Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of innovating, there are new Iwasaki files. I just got them from Madeira's barber. This guy is like a spoke shave, but it's a rasp. So you can just come down, and there's super like all the Iwasaki stuff. There's like this is the coarse version, and there's a super fine version as well. But I reckon for doing facets on a neck, these are going to be the kitty. They're pretty much just like a raspy version of a spoke shave, and it's €15, which is a steal.
So I currently
So
use mine like this.
yeah, it's
Like
pretty much
really
that.
scuffed
Yeah,
up fingers. Sometimes I wear gloves when I do it. But
yeah, it's basically that without the exfoliation, right? So it's
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 better.
pretty good stuff.
No, I like the look of it. Unfortunately, you say they're €15, but I'm going to ignore you because I promised myself not to buy myself new tools, and that's just cheap enough to distract me.
Yeah, I bought those and I went onto the website and there was 4 of them, so I had to have the 4 of them. And then there were other Iwasaki rasps I didn't have, so I bought those too. And then all of a sudden I've spent a couple of €100 in files that I'm going to use very occasionally. And then what was worse is because we're going to the Birmingham Guitar Show in 27 or 28 days, I put in an order with Crimson for stuff to pick up at the
Oh
Crimson
yeah.
stand at the show as well. So
Oh, did you hear back from them in the end?
yeah, no, they were very good. I'm picking up this. Ben mentioned it in one of his streams, but everybody uses the Shinto rasp, and the Shinto rasp has a coarse side and a fine side, but the fine side has 24 teeth per inch or something like that. There's a different version of the Shinto rasp available in Japan, and the finer side of that has 36 teeth per inch. So it's like a kind of a finer level again. So Crimson stock it. So I was like, okay, if I'm coming to the UK, I might as well pick one of those up. So they're putting that and a few other little bits aside for me as well when I'm
Oh,
over.
brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, so looking forward to picking that up. Oh, and you have to sign your book for me as well. I'm bringing your book with me when I eventually get it.
Cool.
You're not bringing the book with you. So the stage I'm at with the book, I don't understand why. I still haven't seen a draft that's finished. So
Really?
it hasn't gone to the printers yet. So I've been told that at the earliest it might be April now.
Oh, okay.
Even though it still says on Amazon it's February. So sorry about that. It's now 10 months since I submitted everything, and they haven't got a final draft of it put together yet.
Isn't that the way the industry works? Isn't that how slow the publishing industry is?
So it's a very small publishing company with a small team. They print it in India, and I found out 2 weeks ago that also the typesetter, who's with at the moment, is in India as well. And like, for example, at the moment it's a public. Well, it was meant to be. We were meant to get another draft 2 weeks ago, but it was a public holiday in India, so that got delayed. So as far as I know, the editor got the next draft a few days ago, and I should see it next week. And then I think it's about 2 or 3 months between when we sign off the final draft and it gets printed and then shipped back to the UK for distribution. But that might be wrong. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I had no idea when I stepped into it what it would be like. It's just frustrating because, I put a lot of time into it, and I was under the impression that I might be getting some money from it by now, and I haven't, which is fine. But it's left me with that's one reason I've had to go back to doing other work, is because I spent so much time on the book, and it was a gamble, and hopefully it'll pay off and I'll be able to claw more guitar time back. And I sound like I'm being very disrespectful of the fact that I had this amazing privilege to write it, so I won't mumble on. But it was I can't wait for it to come out. And what I've learned from it all as well is how much I enjoy the process of writing, but not the process of when it's somebody else's turn to do the stuff and I don't have any control over it all.
So it's hard to let your baby go, right?
Yeah. I mean, I offered to do all the layout for them because I've done stuff like that before, but they were like, oh no, we work with our normal people. But I think actually, because my book's so complicated, it may have been easier if I'd done the first pass of it all. Because that was one of the problems. When the very first draft came back, they'd muddled everything up somehow. So when I wrote the book, I was told you should do, I can't remember how many words it was now, but I did 50% more words, and you should have around 200 photos, and I had 1,500 photos. And I said, look, for a lot of things, because I don't know what you need, I've done multiple photos. You can cut it down. But there was talk of it being in 2 books, so that was sort of one thing. But they said, no, we've got a way to get it in 1 book. And then when they did the first draft, I could see why you didn't need all the photos. So I cut loads of them out. So I cut over 1/3 out. But still like way more photos than they normally have. But what I don't understand is how you can have a how-to book describing visual processes without having the visuals for it. So I kept arguing that actually you want this amount of words, but it's better to have less words and more photos per page, because I know that's not your normal format, but you don't normally do books like this, and I think it would work. And therefore, why don't we do it as 2 books, which is what they suggested early on. But they wanted to cram it into 1 book. So it's a slightly bigger book than it originally was. I think, therefore, it possibly has a slightly lower profit margin for them, because they're still selling at the same price, because they think that's what the target audience will pay. But yeah, it's very exciting. But
well, whenever it gets here, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
me too. Me too. Yeah, don't worry. When it's here, I'll be telling everyone about it and going on about it a lot. but from the PDF draft I've seen, it's great. It's going to be good.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Right. Maybe on that note, we should call it a night. Oh, someone's just pointed out. Barry pointed out Colin Furze's magnet suspension bike. That video came out when Colin Furze, if you don't know Colin Furze, crazy YouTuber, but he made a bike where it's the same sort of principle as this guitar. It used the magnets as the suspension on the bike, and it came out the same time that this guy started doing his magnet videos for his guitar. So either just coincidence, or there's some big magnet company behind the scenes that's sending out things and trying to push big magnets on people. I'm surprised Owen hasn't tried to stop them yet. Right.
Give me a bit of time. I'll get on it. I'll get my people on it.
Just before we end, just to repeat, Nova Twins, go and check them out. I can't decide if I love them or not. I like it. I'm not sure if it's going to be a long-term thing I listen to a lot, but it's just really interesting. I love the guitar sounds they get from it. Right. We'll do. I think we can do next Friday. So see you all then. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, everyone in the chat.